Dividend investing is so misunderstood, and you don't need $5 million just to make 20 grand. Today, I want to show you how to make FU money with dividend growth investing. I'm going to show real, attainable examples, so why don't we start with one of my favorite in my portfolio, Lowe's. So right now, I have 3 shares of Lowe's, and I know not everyone has $700 to just use as their starting point, but that's where I'm at, so that's what we're going to do. So right now, Lowe's pays 2.06% yearly in dividends. That's their starting yield. We're just gonna assume you put in $100 a month, $1,200 annual contribution, 15% dividend tax rate. Their 10-year dividend CAGR is over 17%, which is ridiculous. Their 5-year CAGR is over 15%, but we're just gonna use 14%. Right now, we're gonna say the dividend is expected to increase 14% every single year. And if we look at their share price appreciation, over the past 5 years, they're up 71%, which is a little over 14% a year. More so recently, the price has been kind of struggling a little bit. They're only up a little under 5% over the past year. But for now, I'm just going to start with 8%. That's about the S&P 500's average. I think that's fair. So assuming all these metrics, $100 a month, 14% dividend increase every year. At year 5, you'll have a balance of $8,226. You'll have made $170 in annual dividend income, and your projected next year's income is going to be $232.64. Oh my gosh, that sounds terrible, doesn't it? Look, I know it doesn't sound that great, but this is the whole dividend snowball that everyone talks about. It starts small, and then it starts to really pick up. But really, that's not that bad. An extra $200 a year in passive income, I'll take that any day of the week. Let's bump that number up a little bit. Let's say you got a little extra time on your hands and you got 10 years to invest. At year 6, your account officially crosses $10,000. Congratulations. But not just that, your annual dividend is $232. Remember that number. 4 years later, your account is now doubled to $20,000, and your annual dividend is $635. That's almost triple 4 years ago. Now you can really start to see the snowball starting to take place. But alright, let's stop worrying about this short-term stuff, 5 years, 10 years. Let's say you're just going to forget about it and leave it for retirement for 30 years. So after 30 years, assuming all those metrics stay the same, you'll have an account balance of $366,000, and you'll be receiving $30,000 in annual dividends. 26 after taxes, but that's still a pretty good chunk of money, and it was completely passive income. Now, we've got the ball rolled pretty far. In 3 years, we'll be making $50,000 in dividends, but maybe that's not good enough for you. It's a good chunk of money, but again, it's only 5 figures. Let's say you just went 4 more years. You know what? You got 4 extra years to invest. You'll wait a little bit longer. At year 36, you'll officially be at $1 million, and you will be making $115,000 in annual dividends. $97,000 after taxes, but hey, that's close enough to $100K. I'd be happy with that any day of the week yet again. So what would you be able to do with an extra $100,000 every year? I know I'd be able to do a hell of a lot. And I know some people may be worried, 35, 36 years out. That's a lot of time for inflation to start ramping up and eating away at my money. But if you remember, we're growing at a rate of 14% every year. And that's way faster than inflation. So not only do you have to worry about inflation less and less every year, but as each year goes on, the gap between how much you're making and how much inflation is just getting wider and wider. I'll talk about SCHD in a bit, but real quick, I just want to say I recorded most of this before I got these pictures, and I don't know if it's because the website I'm using is up to date with the latest price, and maybe that changes it, or what. I really have no idea. But some of these figures might be different than what I say. I apologize for that. But regardless, we're kind of ballparking anyway, so to an extent, it's not a huge deal. But let me just say, you gotta reinvest the dividends. If you're not reinvesting the dividends, I'm telling you, you'll lose out on, like hundreds of thousands of dollars. It is crucial for this to work. That's kind of what this relies on. If you don't reinvest the dividends, I'm telling you, the equity curve takes so much longer, so much longer for it to actually grow and start to pick up. And I know you may want to get out and start taking some money whenever you're making 10 grand a year. That's a lot of money. That's a good chunk of money. It can change people's lives. But if you want to get to 100,000, 200,000 a year, you need to reinvest your dividends as long as you can. Again, I know it sucks to hear, but this is basically a requirement. So I'm sorry for how math works. Anyways, back to SCHD. SCHD is a dividend ETF, and it pretty much averages about 10% price growth per year. Including the dip right now, over the past 10 years, we're up 98%. We'll just say 8%. That's about in line with the S&P 500's average, and compared to SCHD, we're being a little conservative. And honestly, that's how I like to be in my analysis. Dividends, kind of the same story. They grow on average around 11% a year. We'll just say 8. We'll keep price growth and dividend growth at 8, and let's see what happens. Right now, the starting yield is 3.98, 3.99%. And let's just assume you start out with 10 shares, 250, 260 bucks. After 5 years, you'll have an account value of $7,975, and you'll have made $242 in year 5 in annual dividends. And at 6 years, you'll officially hit 10K. After 10 years, however, you'll be at $21,000, and you'll be making $714 every single year in dividends. Similar situation as last time, it only took us 4 years, and now our dividend payment has doubled, and so is our account value. So in this example, the dividend growth is a lot less than it was with Lowe's, so it's not going to be as pretty, but I hope you can still understand how important this is. After 30 years, you'll have an account balance of $263,000, and you'll be making $9,377 every single year in dividends. And then, again, 5 years later, year 35, now you're at $459,000, and you're making $16,000 every single year completely passively in dividends. At the end of the day, just remember it's risk versus reward. Now, maybe that didn't sound too good to you, and you decided to put more money in, and you managed to get $250 in every single month. At year 7, you'll have crossed $1,000 in annual dividends, and at year 23, you'll have crossed $10,000 in annual dividends. After 40 years, you'll have an account balance of $2 million, and in year 40, you would have made $71,000 in annual dividends. Remember, that is completely free. You don't got to worry about recessions. You don't got to worry about selling any of your stock. That's all yours, all of it. But again, I know these numbers aren't that high, and everyone likes big numbers. So let's do another scenario. $1,000 every single month. After 15 years, you'll have crossed $1,000 a month after tax and dividends. After 25 years, you'll have crossed the U.S. median annual income at $44,000 after tax and dividends. And if you kept this up for 40 straight years, you'd have an account balance of $7,800,000, and you'd be making $236,000 every single year after taxes. And remember, I was being conservative with all of this. It could be a lot more. Granted, it could also be a lot less, but keep that in mind. Whatever route you take in investing, it doesn't matter if you can invest $1,000 a month, $100 a month, or maybe you can only invest like $10 or $20 a month. Regardless, put something away, whether it's for yourself, your children, whoever else. It doesn't matter if it's the S&P 500, dividends, maybe crypto, whatever. Just invest something. Something I always say is no one ever gets down the road 20, 30 years in which they hadn't invested or saved. Anyways, I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, maybe consider subscribing or commenting. Regardless, I wish you good luck on your investing journey.